The Hellenistic Age, Alexander the Great. The only time in which Greece rose to the status nearing that of an empire, was the short-lived period of approximately a decade, lasting from the beginning of the conquests of Alexander the Great to his death. Alexander, king of Macedonia, first established control over the Greek mainland before setting out against Persia. In 334 BC, he stormed into Asia Minor with an army of 35,000 men, marched along the Mediterranean coast, then turned north and captured the wife and mother of the Persian Emperor Darius III. He marched south to Phoenicia, destroying the city of Tyre in Phoenicia. He then moved into Egypt and built the city of Alexandria in its stead. Alexander turned once again against the Persians, and following a decisive battle, Darius III fled and was later killed by one of his generals, leaving Alexander as king of Asia, when he inherited the title of the Great, first used by Cyrus. The conquests of Alexander spread his Greco-Jewish culture to much of the known world, where it was particularly influential in the Egyptian city of Alexandria. Because Hellenistic mysticism was a melee of various traditions, apparently Zoroastrian, Egyptian, Greek and Jewish, scholars have struggled to identify its origins, pointing at times to one or a combination of these traditions as the original source. Failing to recognize the Jewish, or Magusian, influence in the Hellenistic world has prevented scholars from recognizing that they all had their source in the so-called Chaldean Magi. Though Greek rule had effectively collapsed, Alexander's conquests resulted in the general spread of Greek, or Hellenic culture, an era referred to as the Hellenistic Age. The epoch essentially marked the end of ancient times. No longer would civilization be pursued in isolated pockets. The adoption of Greek as a common language throughout the conquered territories was a unifying element, fostering a cosmopolitanism that contributed in a new epoch of cultural exchange. This confluence of numerous cultures led to a heightened degree of scientific and intellectual interest through the sharing of ideas, and the beginning of an age imbued with a dynamism that continues to characterize the way we interact and communicate today. This cross-pollination of beliefs and philosophies resulted in an age of what scholars call syncretism, producing the ancient mysteries, Gnosticism, Neoplatonism and Hermeticism, all rooted in the influence of the Magi. Because of Aristotle, his tutor, Alexander was positively disposed toward the Jews. 1. According to the Jewish Encyclopedia, as the Greek who most impressed his influence upon the development of the Jewish mind, Aristotle is one of the few Gentiles with whom Jewish legend concerns itself. 2. Aristobulus asserted that Jewish revelation and Aristotelian philosophy were identical. Josephus went as far as to suggest that Aristotle derived his doctrine directly from Judaism. I do not now explain how these notions of God are the sentiments of the wisest among the Grecians, and how they were reared upon the principles that he, Moses, afforded them. 3. Josephus preserved the following passage from Clearchus. In his first book on sleep he relates of Aristotle, his master, that he had a discourse with a Jew, and his own account was that what this Jew said merited admiration and showed philosophical erudition. To speak of the race first, the man was a Jew by birth and came from Syria, Palestine. These Jews are derived from the philosophers of India. In India the philosophers call themselves Kalani, and in Syria Jews, taking their name from the country they inhabit, which is Judea. The name of their capital is rather difficult to pronounce, they call it Jerusalem. Now this man, who had been the guest of many people, had come down from the highland to the seashore, Pergamus. He was a Greek not only in language but in soul, so much so that, when we happened to be in Asia in about the same places whither he came, he conversed with us and with other persons of learning in order to test our wisdom. And as he had had intercourse with a large number of sages, he imparted to us more knowledge of his own. 4. According to the Jewish Encyclopedia, by introducing Hellenic culture into Syria and Egypt, he had probably more influence on the development of Judaism than any one individual not a Jew by race. 5. Alexander marched through Palestine unopposed, except in the case of Gaza, which was razed to the ground. He is mentioned by name only in the apocryphal Imach. I. 1-8, vi. 2. It is supposed that the Book of Daniel alludes to him when it refers to a mighty king that shall stand up, that shall rule with great dominion, whose kingdom is to be destroyed after his death. 6. Josephus also records Alexander the Great purported visit to the Jews in Jerusalem, after having taken Gaza. When Alexander saw Jaddua, the high priest of the Jews, he reverenced God. When Parmenio, the general, expressed surprise at Alexander's act, Alexander replied, I did not adore him, but the God who hath honored him with this high priesthood, for I saw this very person in a dream, in this very habit, when I was at Dios in Macedonia, who, when I was considering with myself how I might obtain dominion of Asia, exhorted me to make no delay, but boldly to pass over the sea, promising that he would conduct my army, and would give me the dominion over the Persians. And when the book of Daniel was shown to him, which declared that one of the Greeks should destroy the empire of the Persians, he supposed that he was the person intended. 7. At the high priest's request, Alexander granted the Jews the right to live according to the laws of their forefathers, and exempted them from the payment of tribute in the 7th year of release. To the Jews of Babylonia and Media also he granted similar privileges. Out of gratitude, the Jews agreed to name every child born the next year Alexander. That is why the name Alexander, or Sender for short, became a common Jewish name even to this day. 8. There are numerous legendary accounts found in the Talmud and Midrash about Alexander, including a visit to the regions of the Amazons. 9. The Talmud also recounts that, when the Samaritans had obtained permission from Alexander to destroy the temple in Jerusalem, the high priest Simon the Just went out to meet him. At sight of Simon, Alexander fell prostrate at his feet, and explained to his astonished companions that the image of the Jewish high priest was always with him in battle, fighting for him and leading him to victory. Simon took the opportunity to justify the attitude of his fellow Jews, declaring that they were not rebels but offered prayers in the temple for Alexander's welfare and that of his dominions. 10.